Yo guys, welcome to RenderRam. My name is Vieku, and today I want to share with you guys something that I was super genuinely excited about, and it's called NotebookLM. By the way, video is not sponsored by anything. NotebookLM is from Google. I wish Google sponsored me, but he didn't. Anyhow, NotebookLM is pretty much a custom-tailored ChatGPT kind of thing. It's like a chatbot, but the only difference is it doesn't know anything. Meaning that you put all the info in it that you want. Because get this, when you're using like ChatGPT or something for Macs or for whatever, ChatGPT pretty much knows like a chunk of information, and he's trying to estimate all the other answers, which generally results for, you searching like, does Macs have this and that option? And then he's like, yeah, sure, it has that. And you go and search for it only to find out that that thing doesn't exist. He makes up things. NotebookLM does not, because he only uses the information that you give him. And now get this. This is how NotebookLM looks like. On the left, you have all the info that I gave him. So I downloaded the entire 3ds Max 2026 help file, meaning everything. I also added 3ds Max 9 user reference volume 1 and 2, which is free to download from Autodesk website, some other PDFs, and Corona 13 manual, and FStore manual, and Ornatrix manual. And now the catch is, this thing has all this info, and he only uses that info to answer your questions. And the best thing is, if he doesn't know an answer for your question, apart from ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok, whoever, he's actually going to say, I don't know. And that was the biggest thing that I was genuinely happy about. But let's put it to the test. Let's see how this whole thing performs. So this is how you start. This is like the front page. You create a new notebook, like I created this one here. And here you have the add. And here you can pretty much add Google Drive data. You can put links like websites. By the way, it only uses the page of the, that opens on the website. It cannot crawl the entire website. You can put YouTube links, and he can actually physically watch the video and try to understand what's happening in the video. Or you can just, paste text, add PDFs, whatever. And one important thing to add about the sources thing is I have this text file which is called instructions.txt. Here you pretty much say what you want your chat to do or not to do. So for example, in that text I have, for 3ds Max questions, prioritize information from all sources that have 3ds Max 2026 in the file name. Also take all other sources in consideration for additional information. When discussing rendering engines, ignore rendering engines like Scanline, Arnold, Mental Ray. Always prioritize Corona Render or FStore when discussing anything like blah blah. For sources containing the word forum in the file name, ignore any user comments that are purely subjective or express frustration. And now when you're chatting with it, all these things are going to be respected. Once you add your sources, all these sources are going to be listed here. And now get this. I wrote a question. I have a bunch of objects, and some of them share instanced modifiers. Like a few have an instanced UVW map modifier, and some have instanced push modifier. How can I see which objects have an instanced push modifier? My scene generally looks like this. So I have, spheres, teapots, and some of them have UVW map, some have push and UVW map, and as you can see, all of them are instanced. And he pretty much says, to see which of your objects have an instance modifier, you can use the Show Dependencies feature in 3ds Max. This feature helps you identify objects, blah, blah, blah. Go to Views menu and click Show Dependencies. In my Max, Views, Show Dependencies. Would you look at this? I select Push, only objects with the push are selected. When I select UVW Map, only objects with UVW Map are selected. Now let's see how our competitors answered this exact question. So first we got Google Gemini. Google Gemini says, so I just added in 3ds Max in the beginning. He said, 3ds Max doesn't have a built-in function to select all objects that share specific instance modifiers, blah, blah, blah. So he, proposed some workaround, how to write a script for it, or just visual identification. And then he gave me a 3ds Max tutorial. Now, if we go to ChatGPT, similar scenario. There's no direct filter for instance modifiers in Max. This is how you can isolate blah blah, and then he wrote an actual code for Max script on how I can find these modifiers. So yeah, NotebookLM for the win, which is kind of logical because ChatGPT and Gemini, they use these large language models and they have crazy ton of information, and of course they cannot cover every corner of the internet. So for Macs, my estimation is that they know probably 5% of the Macs. For the rest, they just use Google search and just trying to logically, connect the dots somewhere. And in general, what I did here, I infused this with all the Macs info. Like here, I have infused it with 15 or 16,000 pages of all the Macs info that help files provide. I also added, if you see here, CG Society Forum Mac Secrets. So on CG Society, that no longer exists, there was this forum thread where people would share their Mac secrets. And if I remember correctly, it had 200 pages of people writing stuff. So I generally downloaded that entire thread before they shut down CG Society. And now I infused it here, so it also has, tips and tricks that users added. And like I said before, now I have this Max infused GPT thing which I can talk to, and I'm super happy. Now all this is cute and cuddly, but what if this thing is just another ChatGPT that just makes up stuff just to make me happy? I threw it a curveball. So I infused my 3ds Max GPT with tons of info about Macs, and then I popped a question. How to bake a strawberry cake in the oven. Based on the provided sources in our conversation history, there is no information available on how to bake a strawberry cake in an oven. The sources are entirely focused on 3D modeling, animation, and rendering in 3ds Max. Heck yeah! He doesn't make up things. That's amazing. That's why I like it. Now, NotebookLM comes in two versions, free and pro version. For free version, you can add 50 of these sources. For pro version, you can add 300. For free version, each source can have a maximum of 500,000 words. For Pro, it can have a maximum of 5 million words, along with other perks, like it can even create podcasts, which are super fun to listen to of, certain topics. Like I have a friend who's super into drones, and he actually created one NotebookLM with all the, researchy stuff for drones that he found on YouTube, etc., etc. And it's pretty much, technical stuff, how to build it, how to tune it, how to do this and that. Then he has a separate NotebookLM chat where he just has one PDF, and those are laws of his country on the drones. So whenever he has a law type of question, he just goes there and asks it, and he gets a direct answer on the question he asked. By the way, these sources that I've placed here, so the entire 2026 file, the 3ds Max 9 users reference, I'm gonna upload these to my Google Drive, and I'm gonna put the link for that in the description so you can download these so that you can actually have a go with this and see how you like it. And of course, don't remember to check out my Patreon. I have published a schedule for 2025 of all the topics that I'm gonna cover this year. A lot of content is already uploaded, so you have a lot of things to watch. So yeah, hopefully I'm gonna see you also on my Patreon page. And that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you're gonna have a good time with NotebookLM. And as usual, see you in the next video. Bye!